Good morning, St. Francis. Good morning, people of God. It is Monday, the 7th day of July, 2025, Monday of the 14th week of the year, the 14th week in Ordinary Time, and from the desert to the shore. So last week I was in Phoenix in the midst of a hot desert, and now it's kind of hot too here now in New Jersey at the shore. In this early morning, people are already claiming spots, as they do in New Jersey, along the coast. Oops, I almost fell. And then far back from me are people doing yoga. So in this early morning. Not bad. It's supposed to be cloudy and rainy today, but it doesn't look like it's going to be. So we'll see what happens with the rest of the day. So one more day here in New Jersey before I head back to Raleigh. So on this Monday of the 14th week of the year, Genesis continues. Now we move from the saga of Abraham and Isaac. Now it's Jacob, and a little bit of Jacob and Esau kind of mixed in between all of this. So again, what has happened as we left off last week is that Jacob has taken wrongly the birthright that should belong to Esau and the blessing that should belong to Esau, and it's because his mother Rebecca likes him best and everything else like that, and so she manipulated a situation, and now Jacob is having to deal with the repercussions of this, because Esau is furious at the fact that Jacob has taken his birthright. And so Jacob now flees to his uncle Laban's territory. Again, all of this is happening in the northern part of Israel. Again, Abraham doesn't go much further into Israel than just the top of the northern parts of it at this very beginning. And so going a little further north, Jacob finds refuge with Laban and works for him. Will find his wife Rebecca, within all of this, and but he also then begins to just wander, around too, and he comes to a place, and there is a shrine set up, and he takes one of the stones of the shrine, and he puts it under his head to sleep, which is always kind of a weird kind of thing, to sleep on a stone. But I guess you can if you want to. So, but while he's doing that, he has this great dream of a ladder that moves, or a stairwell that shows God's messengers ascending and descending into heaven, and God appears to him, and again reaffirms the promise made to his grandfather Abraham about descendants as numerous as the dust of the earth, and that this God will be, with Jacob forever and ever and ever, and will guide him and take care of him and things like that. And Jacob awakens, realizing that this vision is real, and basically pours oil on this stone, creates a shrine, and calls the shrine Bethel, means house of God. And this becomes a sacred place again for Israel. But it had already been a sacred place in one way for Abraham, but now it becomes even more sacred because Jacob has this dream again of reaffirming the fact that although he has taken a birthright wrongly from his brother, God will still be with him. And so now becomes the whole problem of trying now to reconcile with Esau, his brother, who is again, rage-filled and wants to kill him because again, Jacob did wrong, to him. And so this is where again, God is taking the situation of human beings making terrible choices. Is God directing these choices? It's never ever clear. But if it's human beings making these terrible choices, God again turns them into something that is good, which again makes us realize at times that our own choices are not the sole, are not the end of us. They do complicate our lives and what have you, but God can work wonders, with everything that we do and all that we are, as long as we are attentive to God. Again, it's a very interesting kind of way of looking at our relationship with God and with ourselves. In Matthew's gospel, we have two different kinds of healings, tied in together. An official, we don't know if it's a synagogue official. It's not a centurion as in the other gospels, but goes to Jesus, who has a daughter this time who is sick. Sometimes it's a slave, sometimes it's somebody else, but it's somebody who is sick wants Jesus to heal this child of his. And Jesus basically decides, of course I'll go and do this. But along the way, a woman with some kind of blood issuing, a hemorrhage, whatever it is, basically says, if I just touch a tassel of his cloak, I will be healed. And she does, and she is. And Jesus is like, who did this? And the woman trembling comes forward and says, it was me. And Jesus says, your faith has healed you. Don't be afraid. Again, was Jesus angry that she did this? It doesn't seem it. I don't know. But this woman, because of her faith and trust in what Jesus can do, allows this healing to take place. The same thing is true with this official, or whatever kind of official that he was. He goes to the house, the girl appears to be dead, the people are mourning, he says, no, she's just asleep, they ridicule him, and he throws them out, then heals the girl, she arises, there is no Talitha Koam, there's no words that are said in other Gospels to rise her, but she gets up and she is well. Again, this whole idea of a God who, on our initiative, we'll do what we ask this God to do. And even if we don't ask this God to do something for us, we can do things so that we can get what it is that Jesus needs to give us, like that woman with the hemorrhage. Again, wheeling and dealing with God, manipulating a situation. Was this woman trying to do this? Was she just out for herself? Not necessarily, I don't think. But again, it's this work of faith. If we believe that God can do the things that God says God can do, what makes us stop believing that they can take place and that they can then change, and make our lives even more wonderful than they are? A blessed day, St. Francis and people of God. May the Lord give you his peace.